You're looking for that next big wide receiver off the waiver wire. You're pulling strings. You're wondering who to pick up. We got some names this week. We got some big guys to pick up. Some guys that are a little bit cheaper that's got some buzz. But there's one guy I want to talk about. And I've been getting requests about him even before the season started. Like right before kickoff. Like a day or so. And it's Kayshon Boutte. And I really wanted to do this video then. I really got to do it now. We're going to talk about him. We're going to do a deep dive. The good, the bad, the ugly, to see whether or not you need him for your fantasy football team. Before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing these deep dives every day. On top of that, player rankings. We're helping you set your lineups. And we're going deeper on the waiver wire than any other YouTube channel. Click that button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching. You do not want to disappoint Ric Flair. But Kayshon Boutte, he's one of my favorite prospects because he's got a story. I've been rooting for him for the comeback. This is a big-time wide receiver prospect that got hurt and had to claw his way back up to relevancy. And the fact that we're here is huge. It's huge. It's a testament to his hard work, his character. And Kayshon Boutte is always going to be a wide receiver I'm going to root for. And the thing about this, we got 8 targets on Sunday. 6 balls caught, 103 yards. And ADOTs of 17.1, 137 air yards. And 18% target share. Demario Douglas, Stephon Diggs, also getting a lot of targets in this matchup. But when you look at the numbers here, there are some instances here where you look at Kayshon Boutte and you're like, he might be the dude in this offense because you're looking at the snaps. He led all wide receivers in snaps and routes ran. He got 8 targets. He was the man on Sunday. On top of that, he was getting the deep targets. And we'll go over those charts as well. But this was a 5-star recruit out of high school. This was a big-time prospect. This was one of those wide receivers coming in that had oozing first-round potential. But what happened? Because we're looking at the numbers here, and we're like, it doesn't look like that. And we'll get into that because during his freshman year, those last 3 games, it started to turn up against Alabama, Florida, and Ole Miss. 111, 108, 308 against Ole Miss. Just going off. And that's the time when we're like, there's something special here. We saw a little bit, some flashes here throughout the season, but that's when he started to put the stamp on things. Then in 2021, the season ends early. We go out. We get a leg injury. We're done for the year. We're done. And it was a bad one. A bad one. We come back the next year. We ain't the same. We ain't the same. We're waiting for him to come back. We get 107 yards against Georgia, conference championship game. But we're not the same. We get back into the combine. Our numbers are bad. Our athletic testing. Our vertical, under 30 inches. I made a joke during that time, like I could beat that. And it was a low number. And a 4.5 40-yard dash. And it was not Kayshon Boutte out there. It was a shell of him. And we go to the Patriots in the 6th round. Back in 2023. It feels like forever ago. We're still only 23 years old right now. We're a young wide receiver. We're younger than some of the second year, some of the rookies right now. We're a young wide receiver still. That's what made his prospect profile incredible. He was hitting at such a young age. 5'11", 195, very technical, nuanced route runner. Typical LSU wide receiver who just gets it. And you're looking at the numbers here. You see the ramp up in 2023, nothing there. Then next year, you see some numbers. You see him finish the year out strong. And then you got a little bit of 2025, that first game right there, wide receiver 2 week. We had 2 wide receiver 1 weeks last year and a wide receiver 2 game. That's solid. You also got Stephon Diggs, Demario Douglas. Are they going to steal some workload? You got Kyle Williams, Efton Chisholm. He's been making some headlines in training camp. Then they drafted 2 wide receivers last year. Javon Baker, he's gone. He got the axe. Jalen Polk, he's banged up. But in training camp last year, he said, you guys just sit there, relax. I got this. You guys can't come up yet. This is my turf. He steps it up. Cream rose to the top. Kind of like Jacksonville when Travis Etienne saw those 2 running backs come in this year's draft and said, hey, I got to step it up. Kayshon Boutte did that last year. And now things are coming up. Now you're looking at Stephon Diggs. He hurt his knee last year. He was with the Texans. But he was solid. He was getting work. He was good in fantasy football. Get you 11.7 PPR fantasy points in his first game here with the Patriots. Now you're looking at Demario Douglas. He also saw 7 targets. 5 targets per PFF, though. They did not give him 2 of those targets. But still, 8.2 PPR fantasy points. He'll always get you a little something in fantasy, but he doesn't ever really go crazy. But you're looking at what happened in 2024. Kayshon Boutte, for the last half of the season, he led the team in routes ran. He took over. He was on the field running a lot of routes. He was not getting enough opportunity. He wasn't taking over. He wasn't taking fully advantage of it. But he was out there running routes. He wasn't leaving the field. He led all wide receivers on the team with 466 routes ran. That was a huge clue going into this season and into training camp, but they also brought in Stephon Diggs. So everybody gets quiet on Kayshon Boutte, but you catch little rumblings here and there that he's a huge leader there at training camp. Going back to looking at week 1, look at the air yards here. 17.1 ADOT, 8.7 for Stephon Diggs. Demario Douglas has a 0. Some sites have him in the negative. And you're looking at that, and you're thinking, he's getting the deep targets. He's getting good volume, and he's getting deep targets. And you're looking at his chart here. All of them are deep. All of them are 10 yards plus. That is huge for fantasy football. At bare minimum, if you're seeing 5+ targets per game, and you bring in just a few balls here and there, you're going to have some random splash weeks. He's at least going to be a volatile wide receiver who's splashy here and there, which you can use randomly in your lineups if you're hurting. And with that being said, deep balls are sometimes very hard to connect with. They're very hard to cash out. They're higher acuity targets, harder targets to convert. You got the safety over top. You got a deeper ball downfield. Pass interference, you can overthrow it. It's easier to overthrow. You can overthrow any pass, even behind the line of scrimmage, but those are easier to overthrow because it's harder to get it down there. That being said, if he's getting deep targets like this in bunches, he might have some down games, but also some boom games with that if this trend continues. But he was out there all the routes last year. He's going to be on all the routes this year so far. That trend's heading good. Look where Stephon Diggs is getting his targets. He'll get some deeper ones, but not the deepest ones. And he'll also get a lot around the line of scrimmage, kind of like what we saw last year in Houston. So we'll monitor that. Demario Douglas, he did get 110+ yards per PFF. He got one behind the line, but he's going to get short targets. He's always been a short target merchant. That's just what he is. He's not going to steal the deep balls from Kayshon Boutte. Boutte is a guy that can make plays downfield. If they can convert on some of those deep balls, he's going to have some big moments. Now, you're going back and looking at the routes ran on Sunday's game. He led all the wide receivers in routes ran, 44-39 to Demario Douglas. He also beat Stephon Diggs, 44-37. He's the leader of this offense so far in the passing game because he's out there running all the reps, getting all the opportunity. You're looking at his grades. They're all in green. And he's got 6 balls caught, 103 yards. It's deep ball city. He's not running much in the slot. He had 4 snaps in the slot. He's running mostly out wide, 91.1% of the time. He's getting a lot of work and opportunity. Why do you need him? Talent and targets. But you look at the deeper targets, that could make him a little risky. This could be a one-game splash. He could be volatile. Those numbers indicate that there's a chance he could be volatile. And if he's getting around 5-ish targets a game, which could happen considering there's a little bit of a carousel effect right now here in New England, that could make him volatile, but that could make him great for daily fantasy football, also as a random throw-in in your lineups. But you also want to watch him here in the next few weeks because if this gets consistent, you're looking at a top wide receiver. At one time, he was a top wide receiver coming out of high school. He proved at college, one of the top wide receivers in college football. This is a very talented player, and he's getting a lot of reps. Coming back from that injury, it took him some years. It took him some time. Now he's on the field. He's running all the routes. He did it all last year pretty much like from week 8 on. So back half of the season. And now you're looking at him here. We're glowing up already here. Week 1, we're running a lot of routes. And I think that trend's going to continue because it started last year. Not just this year. They had a hard time converting. We got to look at the ADOTs in his chart from last year. I believe it's just tougher balls to connect. They're just pushing it downfield to him. And he's getting those deeper routes, higher acuity targets, higher acuity routes. But if that volume's going to be up there, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 targets a game, he's going to go off this year. I would at least pick him up as a guy holding on to the end of my bench, and he might end up being an everyday starter for you in fantasy football. Or at the bare minimum, considering how many routes he's running, Drake May, in some of these matchups the Patriots are going to be in, he's a guy you're going to throw in lineups, close your eyes, and pray to the fantasy gods that he catches a deep ball or two. And if that happens, it's money for you for that week. He's going to be great for daily fantasy football in that aspect, especially if he's volatile, because that will keep his price down. And you can use him in various different strategies to cram in other players and make other players stacks in Patriots games. That's a diverse topic for daily fantasy football players, but that's something to look at. Dynasty, we've been on this for a bit. I've been talking about Kayshon Boutte all winter long, all spring, about how cheap he was in ADP, how he was a free pickup, about all these routes and everything. He should have been picked up when I was talking about that. I was talking about that then. He should have been on your roster. He was free. You could have just got him as a thrown in a deal even. Just that's what he was. Now we're starting to get a little something out of him. He's at least going to run a lot of routes. He's going to get deep balls downfield. Stephon Diggs ain't taking the top off. They're going to use Kayshon Boutte for that. Demario Douglas ain't going to do that. Now, for him to have competition for deep targets, it's got to be 4 wide receiver sets. Think about that, because Stephon Diggs ain't coming off. Demario Douglas ain't coming off. It's got to be 4 wide receiver sets. They're only in 4 wide receiver sets less than 15% of the time. He's going to be out there getting those deep balls, those deep targets when they need it. And this is a very crafty, aggressive wide receiver. Let me know what you think about him in the comments below. Are you picking him up? Are you after him? Did you get somebody else? Is he still there? I'd pick him up on the free. I would do that. Depends on who you got to drop. But if you got a no-namer or a guy you don't like or you're not feeling it, here's another dude. Here's another dude. Maybe watch him a couple games, see if he materializes to your liking. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder in fantasy football. I see at least good volatility with upside in the next few weeks to the rest of the season. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video.